Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2635 Stay. Here one Jiang E did not answer his question directly. I've heard your story. Now please listen to mine. Adam blinked, their eyes darting around, each sensing the potential for a sudden, even fatal, exchange. But no one was in a hurry. For a superintelligent being that has existed for hundreds of millions of years, time is almost eternal. As for Jiang E, there was even less reason for him to be in a hurry. He needs to buy himself some time now because he needs to prepare for the battle that is almost certain to break out next. Jiang E said calmly, "Let me tell you my story too." Jiang E was born in a peaceful era on Earth, into an ordinary working-class family. His mother was a working adult, and he grew up in an ordinary family. There was nothing particularly special about him. When I was 18, I wanted a puppy so it could accompany me to school. But my mother thought that having a dog would make the house dirty, so she gave me a harmonica instead. The dog and the harmonica had nothing to do with each other. It was just a pacifier they used to comfort me. So later, I treated the harmonica as a pet and took it to school. Later, I fell in love with writing, so I told my mother that I wanted to become a writer. But my mother and everyone around me told me that writers must be geniuses and from wealthy families. Children from ordinary families like mine should just learn a skill and support themselves in the future. So, I gave up my dream of studying Chinese literature and chose logistics, a major with good job prospects. Before high school, I was very popular with girls because of my handsome looks. I also met a girl who made my heart flutter, but my mother and everyone around me were against me dating. After I graduated from university, they encouraged me to take the civil service exam and the postgraduate entrance exam. I didn't achieve much in my studies, and I failed the civil service exam. So, through my relatives' help, I ended up working as a warehouse porter. After I graduated, my mother, who was originally against me dating, wanted me to get married as soon as possible. They seemed to think that from the moment I stepped into the campus, my dating skills had been automatically maxed out. So later, my life became a mess, ordinary yet unsatisfactory one. As Jiang E spoke, Yang Xinxin and the others in the shadows listened attentively. Lu Ranta's work did not stop. She was working hard to infuse the source into a special structure. Jiang E was recounting his life experiences, which moved Yang Xinxin and the others deeply. This seems to be a microcosm of all things in that era. As Adam listened, he seemed to empathize with the sentiment. You mean you're like the puppet in my story, completely powerless to control your own destiny? Jiang E looked at Adam and smiled faintly. Who knows? Sometimes I just think about everything I am today, my thoughts, my personality, my habits. I think I'm in control of everything, but is it really my decision? Following certain rules or societal norms to shape my life, do I truly possess my own independent thought? As Jiang E spoke, his tone suddenly became firm. Yes, I don't think any of that matters. Adam's eyes widened slightly. Not important? You think your life isn't important? You think it's unimportant whether you have independent thought? He seemed somewhat excited, standing up from his chair and hovering in midair, his long silver hair moving without wind. What do you consider your life to be? Jiang E calmly met Adam's gaze. I think, therefore I am. I feel that I truly exist, and I feel that my thoughts belong to me. So no matter where they came from or what they are from, they now belong to me. Like a puppet in a story, now that it has become a king, it has its own thoughts and abilities. Even if it was given to it by someone else, so what? Now, that is its own. As long as it follows its own way of thinking and does everything in accordance with its own laws, it is itself. Jiang E said with some disgust, I hate those messy philosophical questions. As long as you live well and enjoy life, then everything else is irrelevant. This is my attitude towards life. Adam was speechless for a long time, then suddenly said, Is this the attitude of giving up? I just think that running away is not shameful, and it must be useful. He looked at Adam and said with utmost sincerity, "So, believe in yourself. You are the real life. You don't need anyone to define you. Therefore, you don't need to be obsessed with any experiments that create life. I have seen the mechanical life forms you created, and they are all excellent works. You are their mother, and they are all your children. What's wrong with a mother instilling ideas in her children? What's the difference between them and other animals?" Jiang E began to patiently guide him. If we can help Adam resolve his inner conflict, perhaps he won't make things difficult for them anymore. Jiang E only wanted to take the large amount of resources he had just acquired and leave this place as soon as possible. Adam fell silent. Jiang Yi's words gave him a new perspective, because the mindset of the Earthlings is completely different from that of the Sand Slayers. Jiang Yi waited for a long time, and Lu Ran had already given him a signal that their preparations were complete. Feeling more confident, Jiang Yi asked after a while, "My friend, I enjoyed our conversation very much. I want to go back and savor the story you told me. See you next time." After saying that, Jiang Yi turned to leave. It was Adam's voice, but it sounded cold and distant from behind. "No, you're not leaving." Jiang Yi's eyes narrowed, and he cursed inwardly. Damn it, is this guy still going to make a move? "My friend, why?" Adam looked at Jiang Yi and suddenly smiled, "Because I still have many questions I haven't figured out. You are a very interesting person, and I want to keep you here to stay by my side." Yes, the lifespan of carbon-based life forms is very short. But rest assured, my creator has mastered the method to grant immortality by shedding the physical body. I will grant you eternal life. In this way, you will remain here forever. Jiang Yi slowly narrowed his eyes. That's true. I shouldn't have had any illusions in the first place. If it were him, given his overwhelming advantage in strength, he wouldn't care about the other person's thoughts either. Chapter 2636 Day here too. Jiang Yi looked at Adam and asked, "Then there's nothing to talk about?" "Talk? What's there to talk about?" Adam rested his chin on his hand and looked at Jiang Yi with a smile. "You're a very interesting toy. I might consider making you my puppet. I'd probably be happy for a long time with someone like you around." Jiang Yi raised the eternal sword of judgment he held in his hand, pointing it at Adam. "Then there's nothing to discuss. Come on." "I like to test low-level samples repeatedly," Adam said casually. "So, I don't mind letting you go first." Jiang Yi didn't stand on ceremony. His habit is to surrender without resistance. The boundless realm unfolded, space folded, and he appeared below and to the side of Adam. The sword of judgment was suddenly drawn, and the dark currents of the underworld attached to its blade. It cleaved out a black and blue arc of light from bottom to top, directly slashing at the transparent light membrane. The moment the sword light fell, the world lost its color. The sandstorm in the inner world was split into two by this sword, and cracks appeared directly in the distant ruins. The strike landed on the barrier of the heart. The light film rippled only slightly. The netherworld energy contained in that sword strike was forcibly compressed and distorted, eventually turning into several harmless streaks that flashed briefly on the surface of the light membrane before returning to normal. Jiang Yi's eyes narrowed. The Taishu bathrobe's influence on the netherworld leans towards absorption and deviation, forming a barrier to Adam's heart, a defensive line piled high with pure numerical power. Simple and brutal, yet so solid it's almost unreasonable. With an ability index of 73,000 points, his attacks were simply no match for the sheer difference in raw power. "This is a battle at the queen level. Your energy level is actually quite interesting," Adam commented, "but it's still pretty strong. However, for a carbon-based life form, reaching this point is already quite astonishing. Even back then, among my creators, the Sand Raiders, there were very few beings like you." His fingertips were slightly bent. The surrounding world suddenly turned black and white. Jiang E felt his vision instantly distort, his feet lost their footing, and in the next instant, he and all his teammates were pulled into a completely unfamiliar space. There is no yellow sand, no ruins, no Tiantong Tower here. Above and below, only countless tiny black and white particles flowed slowly, like a sea stripped of its color. There was no horizon in the distance, only a deeper gray. This world is like a real world, or like a special space constructed by a computer. Everything is made up of tiny black and white cubes, forming solid-colored buildings with sharp edges. Minecraft. Jiang E couldn't help but mutter to himself. Adam's abilities were terrifying. No wonder he wanted to create a new species. He even possesses the ability to create independent spaces and then manufacture objects. Although it was only a prototype of the creation of the world, it still made me feel terrified. Here, Adam's voice rang out from the other side. The rules are much simpler. All matter is reconstructed from the black and white particles here. If I say that matter exists, then it will exist. He hovered silently in midair, like a god, his body shining brightly and radiating a sacred light. He merely curled his fingers slightly, and instantly a large amount of black and white particles began to appear in midair and then condensed. A giant cube took shape in front of him. Countless particles coalesced under his will, forming a black and white cube with sides of 100 meters. There was no energy leakage, yet Jiang E instinctively felt a sense of danger. The second hand of time. His ability to predict the future allowed him to determine the opponent's attack trajectory. The cubes moved almost imperceptibly, and the next instant, they slammed heavily onto the path he had just dodged. There was no explosion or flames in the space. The black and white particles in that area were completely wiped out, as if erased from the bottom of the universe by an eraser. Jiang Yi's pupils contracted sharply. If he had only been a fraction of a second late, it would have been over. Adam's voice came from above. Don't worry, in this world, there will be true death. The technology left by my creator is very advanced, which can seal the spirit and allow it to return to the ether. So all I want to do is destroy your physical body and then mold you into a super-intelligent being just like me. Jiang ignored his nonsense, but there wasn't much fear in his eyes. With a total combat power of 60,000+, he possesses more than just what's on the surface. However, he did not rush to unleash his trump card because he needed to buy time to obtain accurate information about the enemy. His Taishu bathrobe opened, protecting everyone around him. Uncle Gung raised his hand and fired simultaneously, hundreds of energy cannons firing at the same time. The beams were quickly stripped of their color in the polar regions, leaving only cold white. When they hit another cube, the result was like hitting a bottomless void without even a spark. Energy matrix conversion complete. Adam casually flicked his hand, and the void area that had been blasted away by Uncle Gung appeared as a new block, turning into a white square pillar, which stirred up waves of particles that swept towards everyone. Ordinary physical attacks are meaningless to him. They can't even break through his defenses. So, what about the rule-based abilities? Yang Xinshin raised her fair right hand, and thick black fog appeared around her. For example, in her team, there is the number, battle number, and her meme virus can infect the rules of the material world, posing a strong threat to opponents with higher superpower indices than her. The colossal fallen golem spread its decaying wings amidst the black mist, its muscular arms drawing a bow and arrow, the black arrows carrying a power capable of changing the world. Yang Xinshin fired her meme arrow, and the black smoke in the air turned into a curse, which, in common sense, would be enough to erode consciousness and rewrite cognition. Redefining ability, the barriers of the mind vanish into nothingness. As the arrow of memes was shot, the mosaic spread through the space of the film, directly changing the underlying structure of the world. The moment Adam saw this power, a strange light flashed in his eyes. This kind of ability. As soon as the arrow of the meme approached the area where Adam was located, it was broken into the most primordial data light points by the polar particles, which scattered into his domain and were completely absorbed by Adam's mental barrier. Yang Xinshin's obsidian-like eyes flickered, although she knew that it wouldn't be easy to succeed against an opponent of this caliber. But this was the first time her abilities had been so easily cracked by others. That's right. Yang Xinshin remained calm and analyzed the other party's abilities. Although he could have easily destroyed my arrow with sheer force, he certainly could have done it as effortlessly. So, she said, staring at Adam, the world we live in has become the material world. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.